the Thursday night football game in 2016. Let me get the exact week here on the NFL Network. This was week number 14. It was on, let me get the exact, put my glasses on here, the 15th of December, 2016. Jared Goff had yet to win a game as a starting quarterback. He had just been drafted first overall in that season, and Carson Wentz was automatically named the starter. They got rid of Sam Bradford. They basically said, you're out. You're done. Finished. You're starting, Carson Wentz. And Wentz was playing his head off. And he was playing really good football. I mean, the Eagles weren't making the playoffs that year, but you could see Wentz had some serious ability. And Goff, if you recall, Jeff Fisher said he's not ready, he's not ready, he's not ready, he's not ready. Well, finally, Jeff Fisher, after all the first half of the season, went to crap after a nice start, put Jared Goff in the starting lineup. And interestingly enough, after a home loss, his first road game was at New Orleans, and he had 3 touchdown passes in that game in the Superdome. And he played pretty well, but didn't win a football game and was 0-4 as a starter going into that Thursday night game, which 3 days before, Rams fired their coach, Jeff Fisher. See ya. So here's Goff starting in Seattle. It's his first road start in division. It's his first start in division, period. In Seattle on a Thursday night on a short week with an interim coach. And he just looked lost. He got blown up on the sideline by Richard Sherman in that game, if you recall. That's right. Similar to the way that Eli Manning got blown up in his first road start in Philadelphia. Remember that one where he just got smoked? They lost 24-3. They had an interim head coach. They had just arrived in Los Angeles. Nobody knew where the hell they were living practically. And my good friend, who I've known back in the day from ESPN and who I helped launch the NFL Network with, Kara Henderson, who had just a few years before married Les Snead, the general manager. She said, prior to the game, because I wanted to come back here for the show, hop on the Rams team plane. I've never discussed this before. So I flew back with the Rams that night. And it was a morgue on that plane. A morgue. Seriously. The team president, Kevin Demoff, looked like he had just seen a ghost. Les Snead, who had thought he'd made all these right moves, and as it turns out, he has. But at the time, that night, after Goff had turned into an 0-5 quarterback to start his career, looked lost. If I had told those people that they were, let me get these games right, 2 plus 16 plus 18. 36 games. They were 36 games removed from the Super Bowl. They would have been, what are you smoking? Deep down, maybe they would have said that. I know I would have thought that. That team was 36 games away because just a few weeks later, they had the cojones to hire a 30-year-old who had never been a head coach before, hook him up with Goff. They had also yet to really see the dividends except the year before. This was the year Todd Gurley called the offense a high school offense. The year before, they had the cojones to draft Gurley 10th overall. And I understand Gurley didn't have much to do with yesterday's game, but I'll tell you what, the fact that they were the 2 seed, Gurley had a lot to do with that. And then the moves that Les Snead has made. The moves that he has made. Dante Fowler, for instance, as I mentioned earlier, went and pulled the trigger on him right before the trade deadline. C.J. Anderson, what he has done is remarkable. Do you think Malcolm Brown, who is the backup of Todd Gurley, who would get occasional cups of coffee in these games, do you think he would have been the guy in week 16 and 17 to run the ball like that? It's possible. Do you think that in a game in which Gurley was clearly not himself, Malcolm Brown would have been the guy to keep the ship afloat in New Orleans?
He would have gotten the touches.
He would have, and you never know what he would have done with him.
Never know, but
this is a guy, C.J. Anderson is going to go from the couch prior to week 16 to a podium of Super Bowl media night in a month. And Les Snead also had the ability, unlike, say, a team in Northern California, to look at his game-changing, game-wrecking talent on the defensive line and say, we're going to pay you, and we're going to figure it out. And the same thing he did with Todd Gurley, which screwed up Pittsburgh's chances of making the Super Bowl this year, I think, with Le'Veon Bell, because Gurley got happily paid, and add Ndamukong Suh, and add Marcus Peters, and add Aqib Talib, and so on and so forth, and put an offensive line together that still hasn't missed a start all season long. Got to give it up to the Los Angeles Rams, man. Got to give it up. They are the NFC champions, and I understand there was a blown call, but that's a hell of a football team going to Atlanta. A hell of a football team. With Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator, and we all know the last time that the Patriots faced him in the playoffs in Denver with Von Miller and those guys. So it's not like his first rodeo against Brady. It's going to be a great Super Bowl 53, and a very deserving team made it out of the NFC.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.